Holy smokes, totes, my goats, folks. Today is the day where a vote of non-confidence happens. And Justin Trudeau has left New York. He's going to be in the House later today. I highly encourage you guys tune in to Question Period on House of Canada. The link for that channel is down below in the description. It's going to be absolutely insane. We could very well see an early election. Now, everyone wants to know, is it going to happen? And no one has that magic 8-ball to be able to tell into the future if Jagmeet and the Bloc actually vote in favor of the vote of non-confidence. Even though they've said certain things, they've done this in the past where they say certain things, and then when it comes time, they do something different. And we're just going to have to wait and see how this plays out. But nonetheless, the Conservatives are ready, as am I, as are you. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage you all to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. It does really help grow the channel. We've got quite a few things to talk about today. A couple of small stories. He also had an appearance by no other than Mr. Wonderful himself on the Nelk Boys, who talks about Justin Trudeau. He is Canadian after all, as are the Nelk Boys. And, you know, given his financial background, he has very strong feelings towards and opinions that are held towards Justin Trudeau, but also specifically Chrystia Freeland. So we're going to be taking a look at that later on in this video. But without further ado, let's get into it. So right now, as it stands, you have Justin Trudeau with 64 projected seats. Then you also have Pierre Poilievre with 220. Now, he only needs, should there be an election, 172 seats to win a majority government. And even on the low end of these projections, he's still at 192 seats. So he is doing phenomenal. Like, it looks like he's going to win by a landslide, whether there's an election a year from now or whether it happens this month, in the next couple of weeks, who knows. Then you have the Bloc at 42 projected seats and the NDP at 15. I think that Jagmeet is slowly going down, but with the rise in, clicks and views and the little bit of momentum that he has gone up one projected seat. So good job, Jagmeet. You're going around threatening to fight Canadians, all for one extra seat in the House. And then when you look at odds of winning the most seats, you have the Conservatives with 99%, and also odds of a majority government is also sitting at 99%. So things are looking good, whether there's an election right now or in a year or a few months. But nonetheless, let's take a look at what else we got going on in this country. So apparently, according to a panel here, which we're not going to take a look at, I really don't want to do that to anybody, the City of Toronto is planning on removing male and female from all forms. So bathrooms, within writing, whatever context you ever see male and female. And they're going to change it to cis male and cis female. And apparently, they need to be done made in an emergency basis, so immediately. And I'll be honest, aside from this specific topic, I have never once heard cis male or cis female used in a sentence. I don't know, wokeism, it just seems so bizarre. I personally don't have an issue with male and female, cis female. I don't know. It just seems too far down that rabbit hole. And we all know what happens too far down that rabbit hole. Here's an old photo and a new photo of Amanda Bynes. Do with that information as you will. The woke mind virus. Then you got the lazy Canadian investor on X saying, you're not broke because of the $5 you spend on coffee every day. You're broke because you have an $800,000 mortgage, which is crazy. I mean, that is a very good point. And this is what's so detrimental about the government approving and now implementing these 30-year amortization mortgage periods. It seems good, I guess, if you're trying to get a mortgage, right? And you don't qualify under 25 years and you don't have enough money to make the down payment, right? And you got to wait and wait and wait. And all of a sudden, yes, you can get a mortgage. You can get it under 30 years, but you are paying so much more interest. And it just falls under that category of you will own nothing and be happy. And personally, that's just not a really good place to be. And speaking of potentially going broke, you have Cineplex is hit with a massive $38.9 million fine over hidden ticket fees. It's about time. It's about time that they get disciplined for that. Next would be airlines, and then government. Actually, you know what? Skip the airlines. Let's go straight to government on all those hidden fees and hidden taxes that none of us consent to, which leads me to what just happened yesterday. You have breaking. Pierre Poilievre just moved a motion of non-confidence in Justin Trudeau and his government. And that's just in time for the vote of non-confidence in Justin Trudeau. Because, again, as I said, he is on his way, or I guess he's already back from New York. And so he will be attending question period, which is crazy. A vote of non-confidence to his face, and you had all these coalitions dissolve but then reignite, so we're really gonna have to just wait and see a few more hours until this actually takes place. And then you have failed immigration minister Mark Miller says Canada needs to do a stronger job of preventing misuse of visitor visas, and visa applicants from India could face more scrutiny in the future. Which brings me to the next point here. We can't listen with the audio, but I'll read it out, or you can read the subtitles. 1,200 suspected terrorists tried to cross Canadian border into America in the last 4 years. All mostly here on these student visa programs or seeking asylum. The U.S. terrorist watch list linked to organized crime. I mean, it's crazy what's going on. So they're using Canadian IDs, may no longer be trusted at the border, which is raising major levels of security. Like, it's getting out of control. So much so that we are seeing all of the people that didn't get their approval for student visas, and now the government's saying, hey, you got to head out of here. Well, there's another loophole. They don't actually have to head out of here, as much as that is the process that should take place. No. The government is now faced with 13,000 international students who have applied for asylum this year so far, and there's still a couple more months left, up from 1,500 in 2018, according to data from Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada. What the actual F is happening with our country? If your student visa expires, that does not permit you to just seek asylum here and stay longer. It means the contract is up. The contract is done. And this is something that liberals are now having to deal with. Hey, we solved the immigration crisis. No more student visas. Then everyone here is going, well, let's just apply for asylum and likely get it. Now everyone's head is spinning once again. My goodness gracious, please, liberal government, do the right thing and just plug the hole. Please, pretty please, pretty please. And then you got Justin Trudeau. This video has surfaced from what appears to be his trip in New York.
Never fear, the Queen of the North is here. That's me.
So while down in New York, I mean, Justin Trudeau was on the exact same panel, or I guess episode of the Stephen Colbert late night show as RuPaul. And Justin Trudeau spends a tremendous amount of time with or around drag queens. And that's obviously what you saw right there. Let me know what you guys think about that one. And then you have this video here from Public Safety Minister Dominic LeBlanc says that the gun buyback program is on track, even though that they've spent $67 million on this program and they haven't bought any single gun back. That's just crazy. It's screaming Arrive scam all over again.
Minister, what we've got here as well too. Last year there was talk of the gun buyback having a bit more concrete update in fall 2024. We're now into fall 2024. We've seen $67 million spent on the program, but no guns bought back. What's going on there?
So the good news is we're just at the beginning of the fall, actually. The summer just ended. I think I understand your impatience. I share that impatience. The good news is that those concrete steps that we spoke about in terms of buying back, retrieving, and disposing of those military-style assault weapons that have no place on the streets of Canada, that will begin in the next month or month and a half. We'll have more information, those concrete details that I know you're looking forward to in the coming weeks. But we're very much on track to fulfill that obligation we made to Canadians. A lot of work has been done. Those expenditures were precisely so that we can meet the obligations we made to Canadians in terms of those timelines, and I'm not pessimistic at all.
To make sure we're clear, you expect guns to be starting the buyback process to begin within the next month to month and a half?
I will be announcing the details of the first phase of the program that will begin this fall as planned. So you shouldn't be pessimistic at all. We're very much on track in terms of those timelines. Mr. Duclos and I have done a lot of work in this regard, and I look forward to providing those details in the coming weeks, but to reassuring you that the commitments we made about starting to retrieve, buy back, and dispose of those guns this fall is very much on track. And the second phase of the program, as we said, will roll out. That's the individual buyback from Canadian gun owners. That will begin exactly as we said in 2025. So I'm not pessimistic about our ability to effectively deliver that program.
Right. You've spent $67 million, dude, and you haven't done anything. They've set up $67 million for the software infrastructure to be able to accommodate this entire buyback process. It's a massive scam. Like, this is the exact same thing. I'm getting flashbacks to Arrive scam again. Pierre Poilievre proved that they didn't need to spend $68 million on Arrive scam. Instead, they were able to find a company here in Canada that could have done the exact same app with the exact same level of security for like $250,000. That's a massive different margin, but this is government spending. They hire friends or family members that are sitting on boards of companies to get dividend payments or whatever it is. It just reeks of corruption. But I'd love to know what you guys think down below about that program. Also, stay away from Canadians' guns, dude. It's not law-abiding gun owners that are committing any of these crimes. None of these guns that you're trying to buy back have committed any crimes. It's all from criminals who don't get their gun license. They don't abide the laws. That's why they're criminals. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense at all. And then you have, speaking of not making sense, this weird liberal vampire, Jean-Yves, says that Canadians are finally realizing that they get more money back from the carbon tax than what they put in. Just so stupid. Like, nobody thinks that at all.
Is that Pierre Poilievre is starting to become afraid that Canadians are also understanding that. That might be one of the reasons he wants an early election, because the polls and the feelings we get on the streets do suggest that Canadians are starting to understand that the price on carbon comes with a carbon rebate that puts more money in the pockets of 8 families out of 10, and Pierre Poilievre is afraid of that.
Nope, not a chance. Pierre Poilievre is not afraid of that. He wants to do what Canadians are saying in the masses. The majority of Canadians want an election, but somehow they are literally in denial. You've got Champagne Chihuahua here that says Canadians do not want an election. Look, by the way, I'm French. It's my first language, so I can do the accent all I want because c'est ma première langue. Here we go.
Motion, the Bloc and NDP are going to vote with the government tomorrow. But how do you stave off further attempts from the Conservatives, knowing they're likely going to bring this up for the remainder of their opposition days?
Listen, I would say they should listen to Canadians. Canadians want us to work. They don't want to go to an election. They've elected people to work until October of 2025, and that's what they want. I was with people in the street over the weekend, and their patience for what's going on here is close to none. They say, we've elected you to work. Do your work, get along, make sure you do the business, in our case of government, that's what we're doing. And I think that those who are, creating more uncertainty, that are creating instability will pay the price when it comes to an election, because Canadians, trust me, have way other things to think about than the people who are here and, which party is doing what. They want people to work. They go to work every day. And they expect everyone here to go to work and do the work for which they've been elected. And they're not in the mood for an election.
Do you expect you're going to be able to get anything done, considering the tone in the House over the last week?
Well, I hope, because at the end of the day, it's not about me, it's about Canadians. I don't think Canadians, they've sent all these people here to work for them. And I think we should honor that commitment we have made to each and every Canadian of all parties and all ridings in the country. People have sent us to do a job. They expect us to work. They go to work every day. They expect us the same for people here. And obstruction is not a way of going. People want to see things happen. We may have difference of view how to achieve, but at the end of the day, we need to tackle affordability. We need to tackle housing. We need to make sure that we fight for Canadians every day. Certainly that's what I'm going to do.
That guy is absolutely delusional, as they say. Look, Canadians absolutely want an election. It doesn't matter what Nanos poll, what CBC or Global News poll you look out there. I've done independent polls on my own channel, and they have had 50, 60, 70,000 votes, and 98% of voters say that they want an election. It's been something that people have wanted for years. People are fed up. The Liberals will not gain any more popularity between now and the next scheduled federal election in 13 months from now. It's just not going to happen, because when it comes time to vote, it doesn't matter if Justin Trudeau solves cancer or something crazy. That would be phenomenal if that actually did happen. But people are not going to be voting for this miraculous last minute thing where he pulls out of his hat. People are going to be voting for out of their wallets. No one is thriving financially right now. Even if you're making $250,000 a year, that isn't really $250,000 a year, at least not from 5 or 6 years ago, because the cost of living has skyrocketed so much that the benchmarks have gone up. So the new $100,000 a year is now like 180 or 200, right? And so it goes on and on and on and on. The middle class is now being pushed out of middle class, and it's gone down to lower class, and upper class is now being middle class, and everyone's feeling this squeeze. And so it doesn't matter if it's an election now or 13 months. People are going to say it's too expensive at the grocery store. It doesn't matter what inflation and interest rates are. Shit is too expensive. It's costing me too much money. None of this makes sense. I'm tired of the gaslight. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of that. And so I'm voting against Justin Trudeau, even if the dude were to solve cancer somehow miraculously. Sure, maybe some people will be like, oh, that's cool. I'll vote for you. But the majority of other people, quite literally, the majority of other people are going to say, I can't do it. I cannot do it. People have already made up their mind. And so now let's talk a little bit about what to expect with this vote of non-confidence that's happening later today. And so to explain that, we've got a video here ready for you.
The Prime Minister was in New York and not Ottawa to witness today's drama as the Conservatives took their first crack at toppling the government. They will debate today and vote tomorrow. CTV's Rachel Aiello begins.
It's a day old. They're voting today. This is from yesterday, late last night.
Our coverage, and Rachel, take us through what happened today.
Sandy, with some of the suspense taken out of the first fall test of confidence in Justin Trudeau's government, today's debate turned into a referendum on both the Prime Minister's record and the Conservative alternative.
The House has no confidence in the Prime Minister and the government.
Just 12 words that could take down the Liberals and force Canadians into a snap election. Except this attempt to oust the Prime Minister was doomed to fail before debate even began, as the Bloc Québécois and NDP already said they wouldn't back it. Undeterred, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre kicked off today's debate on his motion of non-confidence with a campaign-style pledge to restore the Canadian promise.
That promise, after 9 years of the NDP Liberal Prime Minister, is broken.
From there, for hours, MPs used the open floor to air all sorts of political grievances, from the Liberals' handling of hot files like housing and the carbon tax, to concerns raised by the NDP about the future of programs such as dental and childcare, if Poilievre's Conservatives win the election they're pushing for.
We're not going to let the leader of the Conservatives call the shots. We're going to vote today against Conservative cuts and against the Conservative motion.
As his government's record was being debated on Parliament Hill, the Prime Minister was in New York, where he faced questions about his leadership.
And obviously, the Conservatives are very much thinking about power right now. I'm thinking about how we can best help Canadians.
While the Liberals are poised to hold on to power for now, securing the continued support of other parties will come at a cost. The Bloc won a multi-billion-dollar boost to seniors' benefits, a move Trudeau's deputy isn't ruling out.
We are having good conversations about all possible economic measures with both the Bloc and the NDP, and those conversations are ongoing.
Sandy, MPs will vote.
It's not just a small movement now, the small fringe minority. It's not about the Freedom Convoy. It's not about protesting against Justin Trudeau. It's about affordability. It's about what feels like life or death. Democracy, free speech at stake in a way that we have never, ever seen before. You've got people that aren't super into politics that even realize how bad, how dangerous Justin Trudeau and the Liberals really are. I see it all the time. I got friends, I got family that are more left-leaning or just don't even care about politics. And it has been difficult to have conversations with them. I think that's something that we can all agree on. The divisiveness in this country is unlike any other. And usually the barriers get put up by the left. Oh, I can't stand the Conservatives and I can't stand Trump. It's like, okay, well, tell me why. I just can't stand them. Okay, good conversation, I guess. And that's usually the extent of those conversations. And especially with Thanksgiving around the corner, I feel like a lot of people are already anticipating that and going into it with, a decent amount of booze to desensitize themselves to those family dinners. But nonetheless, you have a whole bunch of people out there that are apolitical or just vote based off of whatever the media says. And even those people are going, yeah, no, shit's broken here in Canada. And absolutely, we got to do something about it. And so it's unavoidable. Even if you don't care about politics at all, even if it's not even something that you ever consume. You go to the grocery stores, you want to buy yourself a pack of blueberries, $8.99, $9.99, whatever it is, just a small pack. And you're going, oh, that's expensive. Was it always this expensive? Yeah. Welcome to politics. Now it's unavoidable. So in order to better understand just how bad of a manager Justin Trudeau is, which you don't need convincing, but Mr. Wonderful, a successful entrepreneur, but also has a little bit of controversy that follows him, with all the FTX stuff and whatnot. But nonetheless, he has this to say here on Nelk's podcast, right? Where he really rips into Justin Trudeau and Chrystia Freeland.
You never spoken to Trudeau, have you?
No, I don't like that guy. Not because he's a bad person. He's just a horrible manager. He's the worst prime minister the country's ever had. And I spend a lot of my time explaining why he's so bad, because there's an election coming up. It could happen any week, actually. He's down to he's one non-confidence vote away. Parliamentary system from Britain, you need to have a coalition that keeps you in power. Your cabinet keeps you in power. When people start to lose confidence in you, you start making alliances with your competitors. In his case, the NDP, which is a socialist party.
The enemy of your enemy is your friend. And it brings me a lot of joy because Kevin O'Leary is a pretty notable person. He's got a lot of followers. He's got a name that carries a lot of weight. He's really big in the financial sector and industry. And he's, been on big shows like Shark Tank or the Canadian version of it, whatever the hell, Dragon's Den, whatever the hell it's called, right? And he's very much against Justin Trudeau. And he might have an opposing view that he doesn't think Justin Trudeau is a bad person. I do. And I don't know, maybe you do. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but let me know down in the comments if you think Justin Trudeau's a bad person. The reasons I think Justin Trudeau's a bad person is he has done so much harm to people. I've seen friends, I've seen family lose their jobs, have to move. Their entire lives have been uprooted because of what happened during that blip time frame. It was horrible the way he got onto these massive platforms, talking to Canadians, talking to the world, and just criticizing people, literally turning people on each other. And it was just the most sadistic thing I've ever seen from any world leader ever. I never thought that would happen or be a person in leadership here in Canada, somebody who's almost a product of the system, right? I worked for the federal government. I was in the military. I used to have a lot of respect for the system, and I still have a little bit of confidence. Unfortunately, it's just my optimistic side. I try and see the best in people, or in this case, the best in the system. So I do have some confidence in the system still, which I know people are down there typing right away saying, how could you still have confidence after everything we've been through? I get it. Look, I'm pre-programmed, right? I'm indoctrinated into thinking that the system is there to help us, but I'm doing my best to break those shackles, right? And so it's good, at least I think it's good, to see people like Kevin O'Leary speak up about this, because he is Canadian, even though he spends what seems to be a lot of time in America and goes on MSNBC and Fox Business and talks about American things. At least he still has his toes dipped at the very least in Canada, which is phenomenal to see. But let's watch a little bit more here.
But now they don't like him either. And so he's very, very in very precarious position. But he's had a great run over 9 years, brought the country to its knees, unbelievably bad management. The way you should do it in the parliamentary system is you're the prime minister. You don't have to run anything. What you have to do is hire good managers for the seats of finance, military procurement, environment, these different cabinet positions. You hire them and you put these people in place and they work for you. Now, if you don't have any skill at that, you're screwed.
And that's where he's failed. And then Kevin O'Leary goes on to say and admit that Chrystia Freeland is not a good finance minister. For crying out loud, she has no degree, no experience in finance. Now, look, you could be really good at a job without having a degree. I'll be the first to admit that. But Chrystia Freeland is not. Her budgets have been horrible. They've been criticized by people who understand money, like this guy right here on screen, by Mr. Wonderful himself, says, hey, whoa, Freeland, that's not a good move, man. What are you doing? You're hurting an economy. You're hurting a country. So Justin Trudeau's judgment on people has been really, really bad. And that's very scary, because the newest and latest addition to Justin Trudeau's, side is carbon tax Cardi, Mark Cardi. Oh, he smokes, that name is super catchy. But right away, he's not even an elected official. So he's protected in the sense of his financial assets are not something that are made public, because he's not a sworn in elected official. He's contracted through the government as a special advisor, a made up role, just like the special rapporteur that they had made once upon a time when we were going through the blip and all that stuff. But nonetheless, that means that Mark Carney can have a direct influence on certain financial things in Canada and literally benefit from it, and we would never know because his financials are not reported. And one of Trudeau's first acts to bring carbon tax Carney on board is to give him about $10 billion of taxpayers' money to play with. Now, look, carbon tax Carney's background is finance, which is why a lot of people think that he's there to quite literally replace our finance minister, Chrystia Freeland. But given $10 billion for a position where you're not an elected official, to play with taxpayers' money, to, do your advisory stuff, but actually have somewhat full control of that money, that's a very, very scary situation to be in, especially when we see how wasteful the government is with the money. You saw Arrive scam cost $68 million when it was replicated for under $500,000. For about $250,000. And now they got the gun buyback program, which is insane because they're taking guns that are not used by those gun owners. Legal, law-abiding gun owners here in Canada account for less than 1% of gun crime. So it's absurd it's like saying, hey, people drink and drive, so nobody can drive a car anymore. Yeah, it's just a bit of a double standard. But nonetheless, $67 million has gone into this gun buyback program to develop software and infrastructure, online infrastructure, to be able to register these guns and buy them back and move money here. This is the serial number, blah, 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 all that stuff, right? It's insane. And not one single gun has been processed or has been bought back after $67 million has been spent. So Kevin O'Leary brings up phenomenal points, and we're just going to leave it there. If you want to watch the rest of it, go watch the Nelk Boys. I love it. I love the Nelk Boys podcast. I am personally a fan. I've personally just recently had Happy Dad at a wedding, and it was freaking awesome. I wish I could get it locally. I have no idea where the wedding party did get it from, but nonetheless, go watch that full episode if you want. Highly recommend. Kevin O'Leary brings up a lot of good points when he talks about the money aspect of Canada, our financial situation. And one thing we can all agree on, including Kevin O'Leary, including a lot of other millionaires and billionaires, is that the management of this country is absolute shite, which is why we are lucky to have a vote of non-confidence happening later today. I hope to see you there on the live stream. Don't forget, House of Canada. The link is down below in the description, or if you go to the homepage of this YouTube channel, you'll see all of my affiliated channels. Feel free to click and tap on any of them. Subscribe to as many as you would like so that you're informed, and we will see you in that one. Bye for now.